Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. God bless. Love y'all. Good morning. It's another day, another opportunity. My heart is heavy today. Good morning. God bless. May 27th, Wednesday. May 27th, Wednesday. Good morning, folks. Welcome to the warm-up. Heart is heavy today. We're going to talk about what it means to be emotionally charged, right? In the midst of facing injustice, and just how difficult it is to find an emotional center during times like this. Mike, what's up? Spo, what's up? Good morning, y'all. First off, it's the warm-up. So we want to try to deal in and remain positive this morning, and how we go about our normal routine. Some things are going to shift. I am not going to be heavily diving into one of our core motivation topics in just a surface level, right? We're going to go a different route today, and just quick morning affirmations. Look in the mirror, say you love yourself. Self-love is so important, and we're going to dive in, because I said yesterday I wanted to spend most of my time this morning talking about the injustices that have occurred, in particular the most recent injustice and murder by police that occurred with George Floyd in Minnesota. Broke my heart. No other way to say it. There also was the improper murder of Breonna Taylor by police. There was a lack of police investigation in the Ahmaud Arbery case until there was a viral video. A brother, Christian Cooper, in Central Park, was basically had a hit put out on him by a white woman who decided to call the police in a hysterical manner, maybe in hopes that they would come and do harm to this man. It's a sad day. It's a sad day in America. Love you too, Coach. This morning, I put a post on Facebook, and I'm going to go back and read it in its entirety. And then I'll talk about some actionable things that I feel like relate. And some people may agree with some of these things, and some people may not. But here we go. So I was up all night, later than usual, and I've just been disturbed, and so I woke up with this message, and I went back through my timeline, and I've communicated this message time in the past. On different occasions, I've communicated this message, and today I just want to be able to emphasize it, and then add a bit more to it. So my quote this morning says this. It says, "Remember this, brothers and sisters and allies. There's no wrong way to fight injustice. All hands on deck, all strategies on deck. Peaceful marches, letters to officials, riots if necessary, become a vigilante. I don't care what you have to do to fight back, but whatever you do, do not remain silent and scared. And in order to do so, we must be at full strength. We must love each other We need each other. Now, the reason why I always, in times like this, share the first part of this quote, which says, there is no wrong way to fight injustice, is because quickly you'll see that there becomes infighting about just this topic. How do we get justice? How do we fight back? What do we do? What is wrong? What is right? Peaceful protesters aren't working. Letters don't work. Maybe if we riot, but if we riot, they'll kill us. Maybe we become mass vigilantes in the night. And my thing is, all of those, to me, sound like great solutions. Because there's no wrong or right way to fight injustice. Now, I found myself wanting to go back and ask the brothers, right? Ask the Malcolms and the Martin and the Hueys and the Baracks what they would say, what they would do. And so because I do typically share quotes, on the back end today, I'm going to leave you with quotes from Barack and Malcolm and Martin and Huey. Huey's my guy, Black Panthers. And I'm going to just share some quotes from them, hopefully leaving you inspired to take action in whichever way that you feel inspired. But check it out. The different forms of fighting back that I mentioned, I want to go through them. I want to dive into them a bit because I want you to know what works for you. I want you to know what works for you. And let me see. There was a quote I wanted to share from Proverbs, and then I'll talk about these things. This quote says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Yes, speak up for the poor and helpless, and see that they get justice." Proverbs 31:8-9, New Living Translation. It is our job. It is my job to speak up about injustice, right? This is one of the roles that I choose to play. I want to be a voice in communities. I want to galvanize people and push people to speak up and speak out and participate in whichever way that they can against injustice. I've always considered myself a social justice warrior, and I just find myself placed in a difficult position as being a voice of trying to help people deal with this in an emotionally proper way, which is ridiculous. There is no emotionally proper way to deal with the kind of injustices that Black and brown people have faced in this nation from since the colonizers arrived here. Before I dive into this too, I will say that you noticed in my opening statement, I mentioned allies. I said brothers and sisters and allies. And yesterday, outside of a few people, outside of a few idiots that I came across throughout the internet, everyone, black, white, everybody that I've seen who has also seen the George Floyd video in Minnesota is demanding that those officers are fired and jailed. And in my opinion, if Minnesota had the death penalty, I would be calling for the death penalty for those officers, 100%. So we have these different ways to fight back, right? These different methods: protests, riots, letters to officials, boycotts, become a vigilante, infiltrate the system, community engagement, education, self-defense. Right, so these are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 different strategies, none of which are wrong. And I'm gonna just share to you all just a little bit about just kind of the depth of how these different forms work. So protest. Protest. A peaceful protest, also known as a nonviolent resistance or nonviolent action, is the act of expressing disapproval through a statement or action without the use of violence. This may be your cup of tea, justice fighter. You may be a nonviolent person. It may just not be in your nature. But you have a voice, right? You have a voice. You have expression that you need to display. And sometimes peaceful protests get really creative. They block off highways. They shut down government buildings. There's actually a list of some peaceful protests that have worked around the world. And I would say maybe a lot of protests. Everything up from strikes, goes back to the earliest of times. I just looked at this up. 1838, the Cherokee Indian Resistance performed a peaceful protest, and U.S. troops destroyed their homes and property. Like, and this is why this method doesn't always work, right? But this is a method, and if it's something that you feel as though rocks with your spirit and it jives with your spirit, then by all means, peaceful protest. We need you. There's another form of protest. It's not so peaceful. It's called a riot. It's called a riot. It's called violently disturbing the peace by a crowd if necessary. A riot is a form of civil disorder commonly characterized by a group lashing out in a violent public disturbance against authority, property, or people. Riots typically involve vandalism, destruction of property, public or private. Now, and from what I can see and what I woke up to this morning, there were some riots last night in Minnesota, Minneapolis, as there should have been, in my opinion. There's no wrong or right way to fight injustice. Historically, riots have occurred due to people, oftentimes low-income people, people who are minority communities, vulnerable populations. When these populations, poor people, people with no jobs or good living conditions, suffering government oppression, these events are typically when riots occur. Race riots. Do I believe that rioting and destroying property is my personal method of fighting for or expressing pain in the midst of injustice? Personally, not me, not Dennis. But you will not hear me speak ill will towards folks that choose to riot to express their anger, or their frustration, or their hurt, or their pain, or their sorrow. Not everybody is as privileged as me, in the sense that, Dennis got lucky. I went to school. I got a chance to learn how to express myself in different ways, or learn about other ways to express myself that I find impactful. And so I personally believe in rioting. I do. I believe that there are people who if there were not for the threat of people rioting and tearing down cities, tearing down municipal buildings, and tearing down administrations, if it were not for that threat, and that very real reality that people won't just stand by idly and not lay hands. If it wasn't for that threat, and if it wasn't for the brothers and sisters and the people who are willing to be bold enough to get out in the street and express their anger in ways that they didn't even know that they were capable of, but if it were not for them, oftentimes the peaceful protest wouldn't be enough. It's not the peaceful protest. Trust me. It's not the peaceful protest that completely calms down or even raises the most awareness to the issues at hand. It's a mixture of both protests. It's a mixture of both peaceful protests and riots. So for my brothers and sisters that are willing to charge the streets and scream to the top of your lungs and do what you got to do or what you feel you got to do, then so be it. There are other ways. You can file complaints, right? You can write letters. I wrote a letter yesterday to the mayor's office in Minneapolis immediately after I saw the video. You can file complaints. You can file complaints at the highest levels of government. You can file a complaint to the White House. You can file a complaint to your local U.S. senators. You can file complaints to your local U.S. representatives. You can file complaints to your mayor's office, to your city council members. You can flood their emails and their inboxes and their physical mailboxes with so many letters that they can't even get back to business as usual. You imagine waking up, going to work into your office and trying to cipher and trying to go through your emails, and you have 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 emails or 20,000 letters coming through the mail of angered citizens, hurt citizens, people who are upset. All hands on deck. Write your letter, send your email. We need you. We need you. It's not just the protests. It's not just the riots. It's also the letters to officials. Another good form of protest, fighting back, if you will, is boycotting. There are certain people and businesses or industries who in times like this show their true colors. And those businesses, people, industries, sectors do not deserve your support. Right? So when Colin Kaepernick kneeled years ago and tons of people boycotted the NFL, I think it was beneficial. I think that I didn't boycott watching NFL games. I boycotted spending finances on NFL materials during those. I still haven't purchased anything from the NFL in years and years. I can't remember. But boycotts, impactful, effective. If this is your cup of tea, you get out there and boycott. Let me see. Okay. And if just for the formal presentation, a boycott is an act of voluntary and intentional abstention from using, buying, or dealing with a person, organization, or country as an expression of protest, usually for moral, social, political, and environmental reasons. Boycott. Right? So frustrated. So angry. It really blows my mind. We had to watch that man get killed like that, cry for his mom, grown ass man, crying for his mom. And the police didn't do, and nobody did shit. I'll tell y'all this much. And I told my brother this yesterday. If y'all let the cops kill me, I'm coming back and haunting y'all in y'all dreams. I don't care. Become a vigilante if you have to. A vigilante is a member of a self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement in their community without legal authority, typically because the legal agencies are thought to be inadequate. Here's the reality. The legal agencies, as it relates to protecting black and brown lives in America, is inadequate. The legal agencies in America are oftentimes some of our biggest threats. And this is what bothers me, right? It's like in America, if you're black or brown, chances are you are fearful of and hate the police. And it's not by our own choice. I remember being in fifth grade. And actually having a sense of respect for police and what police do. And there was DARE, and there was this image of police that wasn't so what it is to what I fully understand it today. You know what I mean? Today, if you're black and brown, you are most likely going to be fearful of or hate the police. If you're white in America, chances are that you love and respect police and are not fearful of them at all. How does that happen? How do we not all, as a society, see that this is the very real reality of what we go through every day? When police are in our presence, they are a threat. I don't feel comforted. I don't care if I'm going to a basketball game and there's an officer standing in the corner. I'm scared now. I'm uncomfortable. And it's tough, man, because I know good officers. And I spoke to my brothers that work in law enforcement. And I don't know how they do it. The one thing my brother told me was, and I believe him, he said if it were not for the black and brown people that worked in law enforcement, the things that we do go through and the things that we suffer at the hands of law enforcement would be worse. And I believe that. I do believe that. But it sucks. It sucks. It sucks to have to even watch black and brown people participate in a system that I know is just ushering people into slavery or murder, because that's all the criminal justice system really does. All it does is usher people into slavery and murder. Literally, prison is slavery. It's the extension of slavery in America in the modern form. Jail is slavery. All they did was open up slavery for everyone, right? That's what they did. They didn't say that black people can no longer be enslaved. They just said that, hey, white people and Asian people can also be enslaved. Shit's ridiculous. 2020, you can still be hunted and killed by police. 2020, you can still be enslaved. And then people wonder why you have groups like the Black Panther Party pop up. Then people wonder why you have vigilantes who take matters into their own hands. There are other ways. I'm me personally, Dennis Nelson, I just registered for a gun not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago. It occurred to me a few months ago to register for my gun. But I did. There are other ways. I'm putting all methods, all hands on deck, all strategies necessary. There is no wrong way to fight injustice. You just fight. You can infiltrate the system. And this is what I feel like people encourage me to do all the time, right? And people ask me, hold on, y'all. I got some technical difficulties. One second. I apologize. Okay. So there are many ways. There are many ways. Infiltrate the system. Infiltrate the system. There's this movie. It's called The Spook Who Sat by the Door, and it's based on a former CIA agent who who uses his training that he gained in the CIA. So this is that long term strategy. But he used his training that he gained in the CIA and organized black teenagers into well-trained guerrilla bands that were whose goal was to overthrow the white establishment. And in some ways, this is what I hope the mindset is of our black lawyers and judges and our elected officials and our officers. I hope that all of us, anybody, if you are black and brown and working in the system, watch this movie Spook by the Door. I hope that you are using everything that you are learning and gaining for the benefit of black and brown people specifically, first and foremost. I hope that you are using your voice and your position of power to influence and protect black and brown lives in a positive way. I hope that people ask me, Dennis, are you going to run for office? You should run for office. And if I was an elected official today and the criminal justice system stood as it is today, I would feel like a failure. So I don't know if I can participate completely in the system that I know is systemically oppressing and enslaving black and brown people every day. This is my struggle with running for office. I really don't know. And I told somebody yesterday, I said, I couldn't participate in any part of the process. I couldn't be a cop. I couldn't be a CO. I couldn't be a judge. I couldn't be the person that processed papers at the gate. Anything that had anything to do with locking people up and throw away the key and abusing power and authority. I personally couldn't have anything to do with it. I couldn't sleep at night imagining that I would possibly convict someone to prison and they were innocent. I would never be able to sleep at night knowing that here I am trying to prosecute a case and sending someone to prison and jail and they didn't deserve to go. And just because they were another body and because they were black or brown or because they fit the profile. Couldn't imagine. I couldn't even imagine being a trained police officer and stereotyping or looking at another black and brown person that's suspicious because of maybe that's the way I was trained to do. I just couldn't imagine it. Infiltrate the system. Become a spook by the stairs. If I run for office, you better believe I am hell-bent on overthrowing the system. I will figure it out from the inside. The criminal justice system will topple. It will not be, if I ever ran for office, it wouldn't look like it looked like today. There needs to be reform and rehabilitation. This imprisonment and abuse of power is getting ridiculous. Different. It's exhausting. Another form. So all of these things, all of these methods are necessary for us to fight back. Protests, peaceful protests, riots, letters to officials, boycotts, vigilantes. Infiltrate the system, the long-term game. Community engagement. Community engagement is another one. In my quote this morning, I said, remember, brothers and sisters and allies, there's no wrong way to fight injustice. All hands on deck, all strategies on deck, peaceful marches, letters to officials, riots if necessary, become a vigilante. I don't care what you have to do to fight back, but whatever you do, not remain silent and scared. And in order to do so, we must be at full strength. We must love each other. We need each other. This is the community engagement piece that I'm talking about. And in order to fight back, in order to do so, we must be at full strength. Full strength, fellas, ladies, young people, all the infighting, all the drama. Gang violence, inner city crime, black on black crime, inner family beef and turmoil, backbiting, all that shit's gotta stop. That does not allow us to be at full strength. We need to be at full strength. How are you gonna fight? How are we gonna fight and we're not at full strength? How are we gonna fight and we don't take care of each other completely? We gotta stop hurting each other and come together. That is a major piece of the puzzle. Community engagement. Community engagement. The process of working collaboratively with and through groups of people affiliated by geographic proximity, special interest, or similar situations to address issues affecting the well-being of those people. It is a powerful vehicle for bringing about environmental and behavioral changes. Community engagement. There's several types of community engagement. Just find your path. Find your method of fighting back and dive in. And the last one I have here, and this is a common one. This is just a common one that everyone, male, women, young, old, self-defense. 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 Self-defense out here, y'all. Because they don't care about our lives completely. Shout out to the allies. Shout out to the white folks that get it. Love y'all. But the authority, the powers that be, the systemic oppression in America does not care. They don't care. So self-defense. Learn how to defend yourself. And another thing, and this is just me thinking, is that, I'm starting to think that black and brown people, we may actually need to get our own form of body cams. And that sounds terrible. Sounds terrible. That I feel like I might need to have a camera in my hat, have a camera on my shirt somewhere, because I might not be able to get my phone out fast enough. But self-defense is also. So, no wrong way. No wrong. This is what I do not want to see on my timeline this morning. Is people saying, well, they shouldn't have rioted. And I don't want to see people say, well, what the hell is a peaceful protest going to do? And I don't want to see people, I don't want to see us shooting down the very methods that we need in order to combat this kind of injustice. I'm going to leave you all, I'm going to run down this list again real quick, and I'm going to leave you all with some quotes from some of the GOATs. And then I'm going to go. Once again, no wrong way to fight injustice. Protest, peaceful protest, riot, letters to officials, boycotts, vigilante, infiltrate the system, community engagement, education, and self-defense. And I don't know if I went over education, but education is a biggie as well. All hands on deck. Every single strategy that I listed should be being rolled out right now in your community. You should identify one of these roles and sign up. But what you can't do is be silent. I got some quotes, and I'm gonna leave y'all be. Huey Newton. He said, I think what motivates people is not great hate, but great love for other people. I love y'all. I love y'all. Huey Newton. Laws should be made to serve the people. People should not be made to serve laws. Huey Newton. By surrendering my life to the revolution, I found eternal life. That's dope. Huey Newton. The blood, sweat, tears, and suffering of black people are the foundation of the wealth and power of the United States of America. We were forced to build America, and if forced to, we will tear it down. The immediate result of destruction will be suffering and bloodshed, but the end result will be perpetual peace for all mankind. That's Huey Newton. If y'all don't know who Huey Newton is, he's the leader of one of the leaders of the Black Panther Party. A great voice, great leader. Brother Malcolm. I got some quotes for Brother Malcolm. Brother Malcolm, I'm for truth, no matter who tells it. I'm for justice, no matter who it's for or against. Malcolm X, a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. A man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. Malcolm X, be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts his hand on you, send him to the cemetery. Malcolm X. Malcolm X. We need more light about each other. Light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience. And patience creates unity. Malcolm X. Revolution is based on land. Land is the basis of all independence. Land is the basis of freedom, justice, and equality. Malcolm X. And I will remind you all, this was our land. This is our land. Don't get it twisted. Brother Martin. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Brother Martin. It is not possible to be in favor. It is not possible to be in favor of justice for some people and not be in favor of justice for all people. Someone said that these killings have become normalized. Brother Martin says the only normalcy that we will settle for is the normalcy of brotherhood, the normalcy of true peace, the normalcy of justice. I heard a lot of people yesterday say they couldn't watch the video. They just couldn't watch it. They couldn't bring themselves to watch it. Don't turn a blind eye to this injustice. I know it hurts, but we cannot let this become a normal occurrence. Our lives, Brother Martin, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. That's why I say no matter what you do, no matter what you choose to do, as we pick up our arms and fight back in whatever way or method that we know how, we can't remain silent. Let me see. I think I had some others that I wanted to share. A few more quotes I want to share, and I'm going to let you all go. Barack says, "We did not come to fear the future. We came to shape it. We continue to fight, continue to push for change, continue to shape the system so that it bends towards justice." Barack, he says, "We are reminded that in the fleeting time we have on this earth, what matters is not wealth or status or power or fame, but rather how well we have loved and what small part we have played in making the lives of other people better." Barack, quoting Dr. King and Gandhi, but putting a spin on it himself, he says, "The arc of the universe may bend towards justice, but it doesn't bend on its own. It doesn't bend on its own. The arc of the universe may bend toward justice, but it doesn't bend on its own. It takes action." I've given 9 strategies to fight back against injustice. And whatever floats your boat, you get right on out there and do it. Nothing wrong with it. And I'll leave y'all with that. If it be a peaceful protest, if it be a riot, if it's a letter to an official, if it's a boycott, if it's you becoming a vigilante or infiltrating the system, if it's you galvanizing people in community engagement, educating young folks, or holding self-defense classes, all hands on deck. No right or wrong strategy. My heart goes out to George Floyd and his family, to Ahmaud Arbery and his family, to Breonna Taylor and her family, to all of the victims of police brutality. I love you all. My heart is heavy. I couldn't talk about anything else today but this. And I hope you all share this message. I hope you all find your voice in this fight and participate. And God bless. Be blessed. Love y'all.